What if the real reason your hair is thinning has nothing to do with genetics and everything to do with something you've been completely overlooking? Because here's a fact that stops most people cold. In a controlled human study, rubbing onion juice on the scalp triggered visible hair regrowth in 86% of participants. No prescription, no expensive clinic visit, no surgery, just a simple onion. Something you've probably tossed into soups 100 times without a second thought. Still skeptical? Good. But keep watching, because what you're about to learn might completely reframe why your hair has been losing the battle in the first place. Here's the truth most doctors don't have time to tell you. Hair loss in seniors isn't simply about getting older. It's metabolic. Your follicles are living, energy-hungry organs, and when your body is running low on the right nutrients, the right circulation, the right internal environment, it makes a cold calculation. It sacrifices your hair to protect your heart, your brain, your lungs. And no shampoo, no serum, no biotin gummy can override that decision if the root cause is still firing underneath. So why are so many seniors still losing ground despite trying everything? And what makes onion juice different from all the products already crowding your bathroom shelf? In this video, you will discover why most popular hair loss solutions fail seniors over time, exactly how onion juice works at the follicle level to reawaken dormant hair growth, and the complete step-by-step protocol, how to prepare it, apply it to your scalp, and how often, for real, visible results. Stay until the end. The most powerful solutions are often hiding in plain sight, or in your kitchen. First, let's understand why your hair is actually falling out. Because if you skip this part, no remedy will ever give you lasting results. Hair loss is never caused by just one thing. It can involve DHT sensitivity attacking your follicles, chronic scalp inflammation, cutting off nutrients, insulin resistance disrupting your hormones, thyroid dysfunction slowing your entire metabolism, or low vitamin D levels, which is far more common in seniors than most people realize. Add protein deficiency, chronic stress, elevated cortisol, and even autoimmune conditions like alopecia, and you start to see just how many invisible triggers are working against your hair every single day. Here's the key truth you need to hold on to. Hair is metabolic. Your follicles are among the fastest dividing cells in your entire body, and keeping them active demands stable blood sugar, adequate protein, healthy thyroid function, proper scalp circulation, and a low inflammatory environment. When your metabolism is under stress, and studies suggest this affects the vast majority of adults over 60, your body makes a ruthless priority call. It shuts hair growth down to protect your vital organs. Survival always wins over thick, healthy hair. That's why crash dieting, chronic stress, and poor blood sugar control so reliably show up on your scalp first. Why onion juice works. So what does an onion have to do with this? We're talking specifically about onion juice. And there's actual human data to back it up. First, sulfur for keratin support. Let's start with the most fundamental reason onion juice works on your hair. And it comes down to one mineral that most people completely underestimate: sulfur. Your hair is made almost entirely of a structural protein called keratin. And keratin is not just any protein. It is uniquely and heavily dependent on sulfur. Specifically, sulfur forms what are called disulfide bonds inside the keratin structure. Tight, cross-linked connections that give each strand its strength, elasticity, and resistance to breakage. Think of these bonds as the internal scaffolding of your hair. When the scaffolding is solid, your hair grows strong, holds its shape, and resists snapping. When sulfur is depleted, that scaffolding weakens. And the result is exactly what so many seniors experience: brittle strands, excessive breakage, and hair that seems to stop growing past a certain length. Research published in a peer-reviewed study on human hair keratin confirmed that polysulfide bonds within keratin directly correlate with hair strength and antioxidant activity. The researchers also demonstrated that sulfur supplementation measurably improved both hair strength and the structural integrity of the hair cuticle, the outer protective layer of each strand. This is not a folk remedy claim. This is documented biological science. Now here's where onions become particularly interesting. Onions, Allium cepa, are among the richest natural sources of sulfur-containing compounds available. When you crush or juice an onion, you release a powerful family of organosulfur compounds including allicin, sulfoxides, thiosulfonates, and sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine, a direct precursor to the keratin your follicles are trying to build. These compounds are also responsible for that sharp, eye-watering smell that hits you in the kitchen. That smell is essentially sulfur being activated. And when applied to your scalp, those same compounds penetrate the skin and deliver sulfur directly to the follicle level where it is needed most. There is another critical dimension here that most people overlook. Sulfur also supports collagen production in the scalp. Collagen is the structural protein that forms the connective tissue anchoring your follicles in place. Without adequate sulfur, collagen production declines, the scalp's structural integrity weakens, and follicles become less stable, making it easier for hair to shed and harder for new growth to anchor properly. An additional study specifically examining ultra-high sulfur keratin genes found that these genes are expressed specifically and exclusively during the active hair growth phase, meaning sulfur is not just a background nutrient for hair. It is a direct biological signal that the follicle needs to enter and sustain the growth cycle. The bottom line is clear. If your follicles are not receiving adequate sulfur, they simply cannot build strong hair, regardless of what else you try. Onion juice gives your scalp a concentrated, bioavailable dose of exactly what those follicles have been missing. Next, quercetin as an anti-inflammatory. Now let's talk about the second reason onion juice is so powerful. And this one targets something that most hair loss treatments never even acknowledge: the silent inflammation destroying your follicles from underneath. Onions are one of the richest natural sources of a flavonoid compound called quercetin. You won't find it listed on any expensive hair serum, but science has been quietly building a compelling case for it for years. A comprehensive review of multiple studies confirmed that quercetin exerts strong anti-inflammatory effects by directly inhibiting pro-inflammatory cytokines, chemical messengers like interleukin-6, IL-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF-alpha, that your immune system releases when it's in a state of chronic, low-grade attack. The same research showed that quercetin doesn't just suppress the bad signals, it simultaneously promotes the production of anti-inflammatory cytokines, creating a genuine two-sided correction of immune balance. But why does scalp inflammation matter so much for hair growth? Here's what's actually happening beneath your skin. Your hair follicles operate in cycles: a growth phase called anagen, a transition phase called catagen, and a resting phase called telogen. In a healthy scalp, follicles spend the majority of their time in the growth phase, producing long, strong strands. But when chronic inflammation takes hold in the scalp tissue, it constricts the tiny capillaries that deliver blood, oxygen, and nutrients to each follicle. Starved of resources, follicles are forced to cut the growth phase short and enter the resting phase prematurely. Over repeated cycles, they gradually miniaturize, producing thinner, weaker hairs each time, until the growth signal fades entirely. This is the mechanism behind a large portion of the thinning that seniors experience, and it operates completely silently. There is no pain, no obvious redness, no visible sign, just slowly disappearing hair. And it's a mechanism that biotin capsules, thickening shampoos, and scalp massages do absolutely nothing to address at the root. Quercetin, applied topically through onion juice, works directly at this level. Research confirms it blocks the activation of NF-kappa B, a key protein complex that acts as a master switch for inflammatory gene expression in the body. By switching off this inflammatory signal in the scalp, quercetin allows blood flow to normalize, nutrient delivery to resume, and, critically, dormant follicles to re-enter the active growth phase. Beyond inflammation, quercetin is also a potent antioxidant, neutralizing the free radicals that accumulate in scalp tissue and cause oxidative damage to follicle cells over time. In seniors, oxidative stress in the scalp is significantly elevated compared to younger adults, meaning this antioxidant protection is not a bonus feature. It is a biological necessity. When you apply onion juice to your scalp, you are not just moisturizing or stimulating the surface. You are delivering one of nature's most well-researched anti-inflammatory compounds directly where chronic inflammation is silently choking your hair growth. Lastly, antimicrobial effects for scalp health. The third reason onion juice works, and the one most people have never considered, has nothing to do with nutrients or inflammation. It has to do with the invisible ecosystem living on your scalp right now. Just like your gut, your scalp hosts a complex and delicate community of bacteria and fungi known as the scalp microbiome. In a healthy scalp, this community is balanced. Beneficial microbes hold harmful ones in check. The skin barrier stays intact, and follicles function normally. But when that balance is disrupted, a condition called scalp dysbiosis, the consequences go far deeper than dandruff or itching. A landmark 2025 study published in a peer-reviewed journal analyzed the scalp microbiomes of patients with androgenetic alopecia, the most common form of hair loss, using advanced DNA sequencing techniques. The findings were striking. Microbial dysbiosis was not limited to the areas of visible hair loss, but was present across the entire scalp. Critically, the degree of microbial imbalance directly correlated with the severity of hair loss, meaning the more disrupted the scalp microbiome, the worse the thinning. A separate review published in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology reinforced this, concluding that scalp dysbiosis appears to play a genuine role in the development of multiple forms of alopecia, and that interventions targeting this dysbiosis show real potential for managing hair loss. So what does this have to do with onions? Onion juice has demonstrated powerful and well-documented antimicrobial activity in multiple laboratory studies. Research published in PMC showed that onion extract significantly inhibited the growth of several dangerous bacterial strains, including Staphylococcus aureus and Pseudomonas aeruginosa, two bacteria commonly found in disrupted scalp environments. The same study found that onion extracts blocked the formation of bacterial biofilms, the sticky protective layers that bacteria build to shield themselves from the immune system and resist treatment. Biofilm formation on the scalp is particularly problematic because it allows harmful microbes to colonize follicle openings, triggering persistent inflammation and clogging the pores through which new hair must emerge. On the fungal side, research specifically tested onion extract against Malassezia globosa, the fungus most directly linked to dandruff and scalp irritation, and found measurable antifungal activity. This matters because Malassezia overgrowth is one of the most common and overlooked contributors to chronic scalp inflammation and follicle disruption in adults over 60. When you apply onion juice to your scalp regularly, you are not just feeding your follicles, you are actively rebalancing the microbial environment they live in. You are reducing the bacterial and fungal overgrowth that clogs pores, triggers inflammation, and creates a hostile environment where hair simply cannot thrive. Think of it as cleaning the soil before planting seeds. No matter how good the seed is, nothing grows well in contaminated ground. A healthier scalp microbiome means follicles that can breathe, receive nutrients, and do what they were designed to do: grow hair. The clinical evidence. Before we get into the protocol, let's look at the science that started this conversation. A controlled study published in the Journal of Dermatology tested raw onion juice on patients diagnosed with alopecia areata, a condition where the immune system attacks hair follicles. Participants were divided into two groups. One applied onion juice to their scalp twice daily, the other applied plain tap water. The results were difficult to ignore. By week 4, 73% of the onion juice group showed measurable hair regrowth. By week 6, that number climbed to 86.9%, compared to just 13% in the control group. To be clear, results vary from person to person, and this is not an overnight transformation. Consistency is everything. But when a simple, affordable kitchen ingredient outperforms a placebo by that wide a margin in a peer-reviewed clinical setting, it deserves to be taken seriously. The data is compelling. Now let's talk about how to actually use it. The protocol. Now that you understand the science, here is exactly how to do this correctly. Start with an organic red onion. Red onions contain higher concentrations of quercetin than white or yellow varieties. Chop it into pieces, blend it thoroughly, then strain the pulp through a cheesecloth or fine mesh to extract pure juice. Apply the juice directly onto your scalp, not your hair strands, using your fingertips or a cotton ball, section by section, making sure to cover the thinning areas fully. Then massage gently for 2 to 3 minutes to stimulate circulation and drive the compounds deeper into the scalp tissue. Leave it on for a minimum of 30 minutes. 60 minutes is ideal if you can tolerate the smell. Then wash it out with a gentle, sulfate-free shampoo. Repeat this twice per week for a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. Here is what to realistically expect. Week 1. Reduced scalp irritation and possibly less daily shedding. Weeks 2 to 3. Fine baby hairs may begin appearing, less breakage overall. Weeks 4 to 6. Noticeable improvement in density. Hair visibly and physically feels thicker. Consistency is the entire game. Miss sessions and you slow the results. Boost your results. If you want to take your results even further, here are 2 powerful upgrades to the basic protocol. Add rosemary oil. A 2022 randomized controlled trial compared rosemary oil directly against 2% minoxidil, one of the most widely used pharmaceutical hair loss treatments. And after 6 months, the results were statistically comparable. Rosemary oil works by improving scalp blood circulation, reducing inflammatory signaling around follicles, and directly stimulating follicle activity at the cellular level. Simply add 3 to 5 drops of rosemary essential oil to your prepared onion juice before each application and mix well. This combination targets hair loss from multiple biological angles simultaneously. Sulfur, quercetin, antimicrobial activity, and enhanced circulation. That is a serious stack. Try fermented onion juice. This is the advanced option, and it is worth the extra step. After juicing your onion, let the liquid sit at room temperature for 24 to 48 hours before applying. Fermentation breaks down the compounds into more bioavailable forms, gently lowers scalp pH to a more follicle-friendly environment, and significantly enhances the overall antioxidant activity of the juice. It is completely optional, but if you are committed to maximum results, fermentation elevates this protocol to another level entirely. Why most people fail. Here is the honest truth that most hair growth content will never tell you. And it is the reason so many people follow a protocol faithfully and still see disappointing results. If you apply onion juice consistently but your insulin is chronically elevated, your thyroid is suppressed, you are protein deficient, or your body is locked in a state of systemic inflammation, you are still fighting upstream. The topical remedy can only do so much when the internal environment is actively working against it. Here's why this matters biologically. Hair follicles are insulin-sensitive organs. Chronic insulin spikes directly increase DHT signaling, the hormone most aggressively linked to follicle miniaturization and permanent hair loss. Systemic inflammation slows follicle turnover and shortens the growth phase. Protein deficiency limits the raw material your follicles need to manufacture keratin in the first place. This is not a coincidence, it is a pattern. Hair thinning in seniors almost always shows up alongside other quiet metabolic signals. Belly fat that won't move, persistent fatigue, cold intolerance, and unstable blood sugar. These are not separate problems. They share the same root. Treat the scalp and the metabolism, or you are only solving half the equation. Common mistakes to avoid. Before you start, make sure you are not falling into these traps, because any one of them can quietly cancel out your results. Using non-organic onions. Conventionally grown onions carry pesticide residues that, when concentrated into juice and applied directly to your scalp, can trigger the exact inflammation you are trying to eliminate. Always go organic, not straining the juice properly. Leaving pulp or fiber in the mixture causes skin irritation and uneven application. Use a fine cheesecloth and strain thoroughly until the liquid is clean. Removing it too soon. 30 minutes is the absolute minimum. The active compounds need time to penetrate the scalp tissue and reach the follicle level. Rinsing early dramatically reduces effectiveness. Washing with harsh, sulfate-laden shampoos. These strip the scalp of the beneficial compounds you just applied and disrupt the microbiome you are working to rebalance. Always follow up with a gentle, sulfate-free formula. Neglecting protein intake. Without adequate protein, roughly 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight daily, your follicles simply lack the raw material to build keratin, regardless of what you apply topically. Crash dieting. It suppresses thyroid function, spikes cortisol, and almost always accelerates shedding. Slow, steady nutritional improvement wins every time. Let's be honest about what this protocol will and won't do. It will not reverse advanced scarring alopecia. It will not regrow hair overnight, and it does not replace medical treatment in serious cases. But here is what it can do. When you consistently calm scalp inflammation, deliver the right compounds directly to your follicles, and support your body's internal terrain, you restore the biological conditions your hair needs to thrive. And sometimes the most powerful solution is not the most expensive one. Sometimes it has been sitting in your kitchen the entire time. If you are going to try this protocol, comment the word "onion" below and come back to tell me how it worked for you. If someone you love is struggling with thinning hair, share this video with them right now. It could genuinely change things for them. Click the video coming up next, and I will see you there.